want to thank Torah Anytime for making this shiur available to the public, and reminded that it's Leilu Nishmas Mordechai ben Daniel the Neshama Shav and Aliyah. We're basically wrapping up Shara Teshuva of the Chovos HaVavos, and he is in Perek Yud. He is cajoling us. He's admonishing us. He's encouraging us. He's doing whatever he can to tell us that now is the time to make the calculation, to recognize the opportunity, and especially here in Elul, it's sort of a double impetus to take his words to heart. And he now sort of wraps it up and tries to sort of put the final encouragement into this concept of doing tshuva and not delaying. So he says like this: V'al tidcha, in my sefer, page Kuf Sameches, in Chovos HaVavos with the Lev Tov, V'al tidches ma shesichlucho v'noschom lamdemoscha. Do not be persuaded that which your intellect and your understanding might tell you about sort of the inability to do tshuva. Sheikvar nemar boris barach nosan lavodav tovos rabos. Let me restate that. So what logic dictates and what your seichel demands, don't push that off. Don't reject the compelling arguments that he made previously, which we did last time when we learned. Because we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us incredible amounts of kindnesses and tremendous favors. If you take these gifts and you take the incredible favors that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done for us, and you utilize them, they will benefit a person, and he will greatly derive pleasure from them. But if you don't take these favors, you don't appreciate them, you don't take them to heart, and you sort of just rebel against God and not recognize what the opportunity that He's given you, they will turn into negatives. So the very opportunity that He gave you, if you don't take advantage of them, they will be an ashon, they'll be a sin on your cheshbon, on your calculation. Also because that you didn't use them. Because Baruch Hu gave us these gifts. He gave us an neshama. He gave us the intellect to appreciate the Chazi Hashem. If you don't utilize these for the purposes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us for, then it'll end up becoming a sin again. And after you've sinned, it actually becomes worse. They almost become almost like a curse. And a means for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to sort of turn these gifts completely against a person. Look what you had and look what you didn't take advantage of. And the same thing is true in our situation of tshuva. He gave us the incredible gift of wisdom, tvuna v'das, understanding, intellect, which gives us the leg up over any other creature in the world. What makes us superior? Obviously, it's our koyach hadibur, but the koyach hadibur that we have the ability to speak comes from the intellect, the understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us. So, as a result, don't let them turn into almost indictments against you. Don't let these gifts, by not utilizing them, become literally the ability. Gives them the ability to sort of stand up and give testimony. Look what this person wasted. Don't let that happen. We're up to the next paragraph. And don't think for a second, don't allow yourself to be convinced that you can sort of get out of this indictment with an argument. What's your argument? No one ever taught me the proper path. What do I know? I'm a confused individual and I've never been given and shown the proper path. And no one sort of called me ever to return to tshuva. It's not true, because first of all, you're reading the Sefer, and indeed you certainly know that there is a calling and a responsibility for every Jew to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he's shown you the road that's going to lead to your good result and to your incredibly positive end. Because he has compassion on you. He has mercy over you. And he leads you with such sweetness, such a calm and such patience that he shows you to give you the time to do tshuva. He wants no individual. Certainly not a sincere Jew. He doesn't want this Jew to remain in his foolishness and stand in his rebellion. That's the last thing HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from any of us. The constant kindness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows us, the midah of chesed, which is ever apparent, which is fitting for God, who is the ultimate of chesed, olam chesed yibana. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu's whole essence is chesed, and that's exactly what he's shown every individual, to allow him to, or her to stay alive, despite the fact that they might have turned away and moved away. They are alive and able to return. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has shown tremendous patience and forbearance, and because he's constantly showing compassion and having mercy on his creations. Commotion Emor, as the pasuk says, Tov v'yosher Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu is kind, he's good, and he's straight. He therefore shows the sinners the proper way. He gives each person in their own way, in their own private relationship with that Kadosh Baruch Hu. There are messages that are being delivered to that individual. You know the way back home. You know how to come back to me. And he does call, and he's beseeching us to do tshuva. He starts off sweetly, with a soft kind of expression. And then later on it becomes a little bit tougher. The message comes through a little bit stronger. And this is exactly the way the Nevi'im spoke too. The Nevi'im started off their admonishment to the Jewish people throughout the Navi. When they were first communicating, it was softer, then it became harsher, and then obviously was very, very strong, warning them that there's going to be calamity if things don't begin to change. So one more time, Tchila Badinus, V'loshen Raka, starts off sweet and with a soft type of expression. And then he hits us much stronger with rebuke and shame. And then he says it's gonna come. The punishment is gonna come. You better turn around. That the person should return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and quickly come back to his service. So don't try to tell me you don't know. Don't try to tell me no one taught you. You're reading the Sefer, number one, and second of all, in your life there's constantly been situations where you've been exposed and your eyes have been opened to this idea of tshuva. You know that it has to happen. You've been given messages by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and in various ways, softer, harsher, and then most harsh is the method by which you finally are getting these wake-up calls. So therefore, his doris achi. Again, he calls out to us, my brothers and my sisters, of course, who tamar lahazan love, please listen to those calls and please listen to those messages. Lishma b'kolo l'davka bo. Listen to the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's in a sense begging us to return and to cling to Him. And choose for your soul that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu has chosen for it. And search out and sort of demand from your soul, from it, that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects from it. Don't supply and don't respond with anything less. Do not allow. And again, this is something that in a different shiur had mentioned. The Rabbeinu Bechai talks about Atzlus, the beginning of Re'eh, and how this laziness is such a incredibly difficult challenge to overcome, that it's such a malady that impacts and affects so many people. But do not allow that laziness to sort of get in the way from you getting up and exerting your energy and answering that call. Do not allow your laziness to bring you What powerful language. Do not allow your laziness, your lack of willingness to do what has to be done, that you should end up cheapening the value of your soul. Because that's really what you're doing. If you don't respond with Teshuva, what you're saying is, I don't really value this incredible gift that I've been given by Kodesh Baruch Hu. I'm going to sort of let it just sort of wander, and I'm just going to let it sort of go down and be cheapened and be negatively impacted. If your soul is not valuable in your eyes, if your soul doesn't have value in your eyes, what does have value? What is important, if not your neshama? So if you're not going to respond to this, what are you going to respond to? And what's really important in your life, if not the neshama that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, that will return to Him, as we know what we say every day, and which ultimately will be returned to us in Lasad Lavo. And as we said last time, what we do with that neshama in this world is exactly what's going to be given to us back in the next world. V'zoher shelo yasiachos chahir lib cholemar, and be very, very careful. Do not allow the thoughts of your heart to start pushing you to the side and sort of distracting you and diverting you. To say like this, Ata. Now, achrei shesalamti zman rav kol kach mavras Hashem. Okay, you're right. Chavos havavos, you're right. But I've been away so long. I've been distant so long. So, I mean, it's too late already. Kvar avu rov yomai. Most of my days are gone. Now I'm going to start waking up. What's the expression? You're right. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So now you want me to change now? Now you want me to turn to God and ask Him for slicha, ask Him for forgiveness? See, there's no way. It's too late. He's not going to accept my tshuva. These are the devices of the Yetzer Hara that try to get into our head. That is either it's too late, or the other point that a lot of youth are impacted by is I've gone too far. I'm too low. I'm too far down. I can't do tshuva. And the Yetzer is so, the Yetzer, what happens is sometimes the Yetzer works as the Yetzer Tov, that there's such high expectations. He knows that we can't reach those expectations, and then when we don't reach them, you see, I told you can't make it. You were so motivated. You had your sight set so high, and look what happened. And Eloi, when that little voice comes to you, and you need to, and you're about to cave in and listen to that voice, you need to know what to answer that voice. Yecheskel dealt with this. And Yecheskel taught us that that's an absolute lie. When the sinner returns from all the sins that he's done, and he observes all of my statutes, and he does righteousness and charity, okay, and does justice and charity, Chaya Yichya lo yamus. He will live and he will not die. All of the sins that he did will not be mentioned when he stays righteous. If a person's able to turn themselves around, believe it or not, it does not matter what stage of a person's life, they will not be mentioned. You can erase the entire past. Okay? With the righteousness that he's done, he will live. Okay? They will not mention any of his past iniquities. Most Russian Hashem Elokim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, what? I want the death of a Russia. I want him to die. Hello, b'shuva b'drachav v'chaya. I want him to return. I want him to be alive. This is the Sefurna quotes this pasuk again and again in Shemos when he talks about the Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the plagues to the Mitzrayim not as punishment as most people imagine, but really as a means for them to wake up and recognize they're wrong and do tshuva. So here, till the 10th Mako, all of the 9 Makos that afflicted the Egyptians were for the purpose of doing tshuva, says the Sefurna. Until the end of that group of psukim. So clearly, Yecheskel is saying, do not fall into that trap. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in his eternal and boundless love for his people and for his nation, I mean, not just his nation, for the world, for his creations, he will give every person the opportunity till the very end to turn things around. And the earlier great sages compared someone who returns to tshuva at the end of his days, Gives a very interesting mashal of a fellow who had a lot of silver, a lot of coins. And it was a big raging river, and he had to get to the other side. And maybe he wasn't the brightest kid on the block. So how am I going to get to the other side? I got this raging river with the rapids, all coming down, and I got to cross. So he had this idea that maybe if he throws the coins into the river will stop. The coins will block the river. So what did he do? He was standing at the edge of the river. He threw all of his coins into the river because he thought with that he'll close up the river, he'll stop the rapids, and he'll be able to go in a nice, smooth fashion across. And he'll be able to go on the coins through the river. He throws them all in. Only one stays in his hand. And he throws them all in, doesn't block the river. The river's still there. And the problem is still there. He can't cross the river. But it didn't change. The status of the river didn't change. The Kasharozos, when he saw this, obviously very despondent, he sees one of these guys who's going across the river with a boat, and he says, I got one coin left. All my coins I already threw and it didn't work. He says to the captain there, says, can you do me a favor? Could you take my coin, and with the coin you give me a trip on the Staten Island ferry, and I'll be able to cross the river. Okay? Certainly the sailor Asik Dvarov, he did what he said, what the person requested. In compensation or return for the coin that he got, he gave him the ride across the river. So look what happens in the end. You just left with one, but at the end of the day, okay, so it comes out that what you were able to achieve with that very last coin, the very last vestige of money you had, he could not accomplish. He ultimately did accomplish with one coin what he could not accomplish with all of the coins that he threw into the river. Now, at the end of the day, what was his point of throwing all those coins in? To get to the other side. And he ended up, I got to the other side. He doesn't feel he lost anything. At the end of the day, I got to where I needed to get to. So the nimshal is that as long as you get to that goal, and maybe it takes you a little bit longer, and maybe looks like a lot of years got wasted, a lot of coins got wasted, but you did get to the other side. You're able to cross over to get to that destination of being a tzaddik, and maybe, obviously, it's not as good as being a tzaddik your whole life. That obviously would have been better, but at the end of the day, the person did what they needed to do. And v'chein hu gam bal tshuva, the bal tshuva the same way. True, he lost most of his years and most of his days in matters that were not service to God. But when he returns with tshuva to at the end of his days, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Haborei Mochalo, Alamaisim Aroyim. It's all forgotten. HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives you on those evil deeds that you did all your days. It's hard to even fathom the Chazi Hashem here. And when I've done this, Rambam says similar words, and when I've learned this various times in the past, a lot of people have trouble with this concept. They're just come on, it's not fair. How do you sin your whole life and just you turn things around and you have to really turn things around. It's not so easy to turn things around. And the Gemara, famous Gemara about various people who were such Rishoyim, and they recognized what they did wrong, and they were so motivated and so shocked by the abhorrence of their life till this point that literally they died in the tshuva. And the Gemara says, Yesh Adam Shekolam B'Shachas, or people who are able to acquire eternity literally in a matter of minutes. And sometimes it's a concept that people sort of that's not fair. Well. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, and he's saying it is fair, but it does require an incredible transformation. It requires true sincerity, and it's not easy. But if a person can do that, certainly the argument that it's too late doesn't work. It's not a valid argument. Kamosh Omi Cheskel Navi, like the Cheskel Navi says, Kol B'Shavash Asal Yizarchu Loi, all of the sins that he's done will not be mentioned to him. Yor Oman, furthermore, it says, Kol Chatoisav Shechata Lo Tizacharna Loi. Again, they will not be brought up. When you get to the Olam Emes, it's all erased. They have a splicing machine, and all of those ugly years, it's all done, edited. It's an editing job, and it doesn't get mentioned. And then he ends with a very, very impassioned plea. And he says, "Valiyah koshel chachi, please let it not be hard for you, my brother. L'kabel is dvorai hamo'ir moschol ashkiach al atzmecha, to accept my words that are inspiring you to watch over yourself, because I'm pleading to my readers to heed my words and get going. When in a situation where now he bears his soul to some degree, and I was not aware of this about Ibn Bachir Pekudei, I was not aware, but he says, where I myself waited such a long time to do it. I myself didn't do tshuva right away. Apparently, there was a time in his life that, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what he did and what he didn't do, but he's saying that, you're going to say, coming from me, you're telling me about tshuva, what about you? I don't mean my words specifically to you. You think I'm talking just to you? I'm talking to myself. I'm telling myself to get my act together, so to speak. I'm telling myself to grab the opportunity of tshuva. Why don't you humble yourself, please, in front of the truth? Accept and get the truth. Do not run away from it. Don't think you can escape. And you should be giving thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for awakening you to concepts that were not known to you. This the power of tshuva and the ability for every Jew to return. Maybe you didn't know this till now, but you know it now. You're just wrapping up the Chavos Havavos, Shara Tshuva. And don't not use the argument that the motivator, the author of this incredible sefer himself waited such a long time, right? How many times have we heard from kids, well, didn't you do this when you were a kid? Mommy, daddy, what did you do when you were a youngster? So if you made those mistakes, I'll make those mistakes too. Let me make those some mistakes. And we're begging, don't make that same mistake. Just because I made it, I'm telling you, it's not worth making that mistake. I'm still paying the price for those mistakes. Well, it was good enough for you, it's good enough for me. No. Don't allow yourself to be deceived to that argument. Don't say, well, since I overlooked and I wasted some time, I don't know exactly the details of his life in terms of when this happened, but clearly he's saying, do not allow my shortcomings and the fact that I overlooked my opportunities for some time to then convince you that you'll also do the same thing. I'll be just as good as you. I'll write my sefer, too later on in life and become one of the greatest Rishonim in history. So, these arguments are deceptions of the Yetzer Hara. These have no basis in truth whatsoever. With these arguments, people get trapped, whose intellect is weak, whose character is not strong, people who are easily duped. That's who falls for these arguments. If you have a clear and strong character, you will not let these things happen to you. Olakim Barachmov, and his last words of Shara Tshuva are HaKadosh Baruch Hu in his compassion, Yosem es chalkeinu ben hamizdarzim lach b'tshuvei love. Let HaKadosh Baruch Hu please place us all amongst those who have the alacrity and the strength and the zeal to return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'tshuva, hashav may love b'leiv shalom, who returned to him with a pure heart. Amen. Okay, so it's hard to sort of not be moved by such powerful words, and right after, in Baruch Hashem, we have the ability to move right into the next gate, which is the 8th gate of this incredible sefer, and the gate of Cheshbon Nefesh. Maybe just by way of introduction for a minute before we get into the actual sefer, the Mesil Yesharim, another classic Musar work of the Ramchal, and he writes there, also talking about this concept of Cheshbon Nefesh, calculations, analyzing where I stand, looking at my life, And he says, Al Kain Yomer Hamoshlim Bo V'Nasa Cheshbon. So in talking about the famous chapter that deals with the maze, where the people are in a maze and you don't know how to get out, and how you're going to learn to get out, you go and take the advice from the people who went through it before. Otherwise, you're gonna be completely confused. But somebody who knows, I guess maybe the new comparison is Rubik's Cube, right? How do you answer Rubik's Cube? But if you know somebody who knows a trick and they tell you how to deal with it, then you know how to put it together. So, and he quotes the pasuk and he says, "Al Kain Yomer Hamoshim," those who are moshel in the Yetzer, those who have control of the Yetzer. Let's take advice from them. Let's not just sort of make this up as we go. There's a system to success in life. Let's ask the people who have been successful, what is the answer? What's the key to being a successful Jew and doing the right thing? And therefore, what do they say to advise us? Bo v'nasa cheshbon. They say they can't tell us what to do. It's very fascinating that what the Ramchal says. They don't say do X, Y, and Z. They don't say take this road and that road and do this and that. They say make a cheshbon, because everybody has got their own world, and we're going to get into that. Everybody has their own issues, and every generation is different. So we can't really tell. If we talk to somebody from 500 years ago, give me advice. What's the advice that they're going to give us? What's the eternal message that resonates in every single generation? Bo v'nasa cheshbon. If we're making a calculation, if we're looking into our actions, we're thinking and taking an account of where we are in life, that's the key to success. And that's really what Musa is about. And that's specifically what Cheshbon Nefesh is about. It's about making a calculation, being a thinking individual, recognizing what we've been given, recognizing what we have to give back, and living our lives in that kind of a framework. So with that little concept that the Ramchal shares with us, let us now move into Hashara Shmini Shar Cheshbon Nefesh. So Omar Mechaber. So the author says as follows. Since we already explained in the previous gate, the previous chapters, of the essential qualities, parts of tshuva and its details, what he had mentioned in two different scenarios earlier, how important calculations are, thinking, to probe, to analyze, to ponder. What have I been given? And what am I obligated? What have I received? And what do I have to pay back? These are all calculations that a Jew needs to make. So since I've alluded to the importance of Cheshbon Nefesh in the earlier gate, in the earlier chapters, I therefore found it appropriate, Levar Achrei Teshuva is Inyanei Cheshbon HaNefesh, the calculation of the soul. Deishum Oris HaNefesh Shedvorim Shayadam Him Magia Lidei Shleimus. Because through this mechanism of Cheshbon Nefesh, it will inspire a soul, it'll inspire an individual to different actions, that through those actions, that person will reach completion in both worlds. Complete in this world, completion in this world, and perfection and completion in the next world. As David HaMelech said, a famous pasuk in Tilim, Chishafti Drachai, I've calculated my ways. That concept of cheshbon, cheshafti, it's all chishev, it's all machshava, it's all thought, it's all analysis. It's a constant theme throughout all of these psukim. I looked into my ways, I calculated my direction, vashiva raglai el edosecha, and my feet returned to your mitzvos and to your statutes. That's what happens when you think. Now, in the matter of Cheshbon Nefesh, it's my job, he says, to really look into 6 different components of this concept of Cheshbon Nefesh. Echad, Mahu Cheshbon Nefesh. Number 1, what is it? Beis, Im Cheshbon Nefesh Shel Kol Bnei Adam Shava. Is everyone's Cheshbon Nefesh equal? Or are there differences in the calculations that we make and the way we make them? Or is there no difference? Is it all the same, or is it subjective? Gimel, Bekama afanim alo adam lasos latzbo cheshbon nefesh. How many different ways are there to do and to make cheshbon nefesh? Is there more than one way? Does it change for people, and even within the same individual? Is there more than one avenue towards this process of cheshbon nefesh. Dalid, Eza 12 yotzes mecheshbon hazeh. What benefits will I see, and what benefits can I expect from this type of calculation? Hey, although is it a constant responsibility? Does it happen once can I do once a year? Can I do once a week? Once a month? How does it work? Or maybe once a decade? Whatever. What is the time frame? What's the sort of structure of cheshbon nefesh? Involve Eza Pu'ulos Adam Chayev Lashos Miyad Achrei Asiyos Cheshbon Nefesh. What kind of actions have to take place immediately after the calculation? Do I just roll over and go to sleep, or is there something that sort of is compelling for me to respond to once I've done this Cheshbon Nefesh? Those are the 6 areas that he will get into in this shar. So let's grab Perek Aleph and let's dive right in. Prusha shel cheshbon nefesh hu. The explanation of this concept of cheshbon nefesh is habikores shel adam osa beino levin atzmo. It's a review, it's an assessment, whatever kind of word you want to use, analysis, okay, of what a person is doing. Habikores shel adam osa beino levin atzmo. The person, what he's doing between him and himself, it's a private analysis. It's a private overview and an examination. Amatzavo b'kiyam Torah, on this person's status in terms of relating to fulfilling the mitzvahs of the Torah. Va'al hisnaguso b'nyonei ol mazeh, and in general matters involving worldly things. What's going on? How am I doing in this world? How am I conducting myself? What's my general outlook and what's my general behavior? How am I doing both in the spiritual realm and in the mundane realm? Visbonus, and together with that assessment, you need another component. Visbonus b'tovus Hashem heitiv lo, and connected, of course, to that, and along with that comes an analysis and a deep introspection and thought regarding the kindnesses that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done for each individual. So that a person should then recognize, okay, based on what I've received, and therefore what is my responsibility, what is still incumbent upon me to do. I'm sorry, one more time. Which of those things he did already fulfill, and where I'm good? Where can I check it off that I'm fine? And which ones he has not yet done? Which ones are still in the bucket list to be able to fulfill? What do I still have to do? So in other words, you sort of gain an overall picture of your status, an overall picture of what I've received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what it is that I have done that's good and positive, and what is it that I still have to do to complete my responsibilities. So we'll say big picture and small picture. And Moshe Rabbeinu already commanded us, of blessed memory, to do this. This is not a newfangled idea. It's not something that somebody made up in the days of the Rishonim or Kadmainim or Amoraim. This goes back to the Torah. B'yomro, as we just read recently, B'yomro, as the Pasuk says right after the Psukim say about calculating the incredible story of the exodus of the Jews from Mitzrayim, and how many chasadim, and how many incredible miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrought for the Jewish people. And what does it say after all of that remembering and all of that expounding of the incredible kindnesses? V'yadat hayom, you should know today, you should return it to your heart. Hashem will Elokim, we say this every day in davening, okay, but that Hashem is God. In the heavens and in the earth, there's no one else. So clearly the message that Moshe Rabbeinu was delivering to the Jewish people is that when you think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's when you're motivated by this overwhelming feeling of gratitude, that's when you are most prone to sort of get yourself going and recognize your responsibility, because look at how much I've received. So it's in that mode that the person will be most zealous to act in the most proper way. And you should observe his commandments. right after that. V'David Melech, Alav Hashalom Omar. So to David Melech said the same point. Ta'amu, reason, use logic, analyze, uru and seek. Ki toiv Hashem, asher gevayechsabah. God is good, and fortunate is the man who trusts in Hakadosh Baruch Hu, who relies on Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and who has bitachon on Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'nemar, another pasuk in Divrei Yom says, "V'da es Elokei avicha v'avdeyu." Know Hakadosh Baruch Hu, your father, and serve him. When you recognize that he's your father, you recognize, again, all the kindnesses that he's done, well then the service becomes that much easier. Another pasuk in Tillim, Al tiu kesus. Do not be like a horse, keferet ein havin, like a mule with no understanding. Do not allow yourself to be reduced to the intellect of an animal by not recognizing the kindnesses that you have received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, and furthermore, about people who don't think about their matters, who don't make this calculation for themselves. What does Yeshayahu say about such people? This person has not sort of put this into his heart, has not brought it into his emotional level of clarity, and therefore there is no intellect, there's no understanding. This is a tremendous fault and criticism of people who are not willing to do this. V'nemar, furthermore, it says in Tillim, there is no recollection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hand and the power of his kindness. The day that he redeemed people from their pain and from their anguish. You're not ready to go there. You're not ready to think about it. You're not ready to focus on all of the kindnesses that will motivate one to do the right thing. This is a refusal to make that cheshbon nefesh. Furthermore, it says, remember the days of yore, remember the days throughout history. And here too, there is a psukim right around that pasuk where that tells you, remember, what are you supposed to remember? Again, the Chazei Hashem. Remember, look at who we are. Look at what we've received. Look at our history. And the truth of the matter is, Klal Yisrael could have said this 3,000 years ago, but the truth of the matter is, we can probably say it to even a greater degree, because we have seen miracles throughout the Golus that would defy anything, and that would be even greater, as we've mentioned many times. It's even greater than the miracles of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So there is a need for a person to focus on what they have received. V'nemar, another pasuk in Tillim, Zacharti Yom Mikedam. I remember the days of earlier. Higisi b'chol polecha. I pondered, I focused on all of your actions. B'maisedecha esocheach. I speak about all of your actions. I involve myself in them. I think about them. I discuss them. This is what we have to do. V'nemar, and finally the pasuk in Eve says, Esa deil merachok. I take my thoughts and my understanding to a distance, meaning again that I take a look long term, from a long view of all the chasadim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done with me from the beginning of my lifetime till today, and obviously you can go early if you want to look at Jewish history, and ulufali etein tzedek, and therefore to my actions I give righteousness, meaning that I attribute to HaKadosh Baruch Hu everything that I'm able to do. I give him the credit, and therefore I feel compelled to do the best I can do. So clearly the message is, and Bez Hashem, I think in next couple of weeks we'll continue, is sort of this balance between the focus on oneself to see what I need to do, but it needs to be preceded by the focus of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done for me, and what therefore am I motivated to do back. And okay, Baruch Hashem, we began. We'll pick up with Perek Beis next time. Thank you so much.